You know, it used to be when we were at war, presidents conducted themselves in serious ways out of respect for the men and women on the battlefield. You see, the men and women on the battlefield have volunteered to put their lives on the line, to be away from their families for months, if not years at a time, to deny themselves career opportunities and financial security back home, and to selflessly serve the cause of the nation's security and your liberty. Now, during the course of this president's administration, our nation has been at war each and every day of it. And somehow the president has managed to play 73 rounds of golf. Somebody told me almost 5 months of weekends in a row or thereabouts. He has also managed to play scores of basketball games. He's also managed to attend scores of concerts, and on and on. You see, while our men and women in uniform have sacrificed their lives and lifestyles in service to our country, the president has disrespected all of them. You remember Memorial Day. I talked about it the day after. How after laying the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, within hours he was on the links. I found it absolutely disgusting. Obama has not changed anything about his life or his lifestyle. In fact, he's living it up. He's not sacrificed a thing. And he goes about his social time as if there's nothing going on in Iraq or Afghanistan or Libya. Somebody's son and daughter is on that battlefield. Somebody's husband and wife is on that battlefield. Somebody's daddy and mommy is on that battlefield. Now, I don't expect Obama to be a hermit, but I do expect him to make an effort to at least feign respect for these sacrifices. And so this is why I denounce the Republican Speaker of the House, John Boehner, and the Republican Governor of Ohio, John Kasich, for contributing to this disrespect. The idea that they played a round of golf to work out some huge policy issue is nonsense. They didn't work out anything. And shame on Boehner for his insensitivity and worse. There are millions and millions of Americans as well who are not at war, but who day after day are slugging it out through this economy. They are struggling for their survival here at home. They've lost their homes or are facing losing them. They have lost their life savings or are down to what's left of it. They have lost their jobs and can't find another, or they're working in jobs that barely allow them to make ends meet and take care of their families. This is a depression we're in. And our rulers are having a grand old time. Many people, millions of people, are foregoing summer vacations and trips. They've cut back on basic necessities. Many have lost hope in the future. They see the price of fuel going up, the price of food going up, while their income and assets are being depleted. Imagine them watching over the weekend the spectacle of Obama and Boehner and Biden and Kasich playing golf and having a grand old time. Now, for the rest of us, we see a nation spiraling out of control. We see a nation headed for financial collapse. Now, some would have us put a smiley face on it because they've been told over their careers to be positive, positive, positive. I don't have a problem with being positive, but I also want to make sure that we talk about reality. Many of us are scared to death about where these politicians are dragging us, our children and our grandchildren. We see massive debt and deficits. We see endless spending, countless federal programs, and constant demands on more and more of our incomes. We see the public sector getting bigger and bigger and more demanding. We see the decay of civility, the culture, and individual liberty. Now, not unrelated, we either watched or heard about a major sporting event, the U.S. Open, broadcast by NBC, where a so-called Patriot segment was carefully produced and edited to specifically remove the words, "One Nation Under God," from the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance by a classroom of young children. So poisonous is the secularism promoted by our government that it now seeps into all corners of our society, even in a televised golf tournament purporting to promote a scene on patriotism. Now let me be clear about something. The fact of our history is that this nation was founded, as stated in our Declaration of Independence, under, quote, the laws of nature and of nature's God, unquote. If you reject that, you reject the Declaration of Independence and our founding. It doesn't mean you have to believe in God or believe in anything. But that's the core of the nation's existence. It provides further that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They're not created by men or governments. They're inviolable because they're God-given natural rights. Otherwise, men and governments can deny them. The Constitution does not separate church and state. It prohibits the establishment of a theocracy, that is, of an official state religion. But the dominant religion in America is and always has been, since the earliest settlers, Christianity. There is no question whatsoever that the Judeo-Christian tradition have and do influence America's laws and policies, period. Those who yearn to come to this nation, and those who have come to this nation, escaping tyranny and persecution, seeking liberty and opportunity, but now insist that the cultures and societies they escaped supplant that which exists here, would do well to remember what I am saying. And those born here, who believe the liberty and rights they enjoy come from the government or some socialist economic model, would also do well to remember what I am saying here. To reject under God, regardless of your religion, if you have a religion, or if you believe in anything higher than yourself, is to reject this nation's founding. From where do unalienable rights come, if not from a higher being? If they come from man, then they're not unalienable. Neither government nor politicians can create unalienable rights. They can help preserve and protect them, but they do not grant them. That is the point. And we do not surrender our very existence to mere mortals. We do not surrender our very existence to politicians, to government bureaucrats. And if you do not agree with what I am saying, it is of no matter. Because thanks to millions and millions of us who understand this, you are still free to enjoy the benefits of this nation, which was founded exactly as I described. But if it is your intention to transform our society, by destroying its nature and purpose, then you will face our resistance. We understand that it's unalienable rights and natural law that you have in your sights as you continue to campaign to dismantle this magnificent country and society. And we have no damn intention of rolling over.
Mark Levin.
CNN host Fareed Zakaria yesterday on the Constitution, Hat Tip Media Research Center. You're going to want to listen to this. Cut 10, go.
And let me be very clear here. The U.S. Constitution is an extraordinary work, one of the greatest expressions of liberty and law in human history. One amazing testament to it is the mere fact that it has survived as the law of the land for 222 years. But our Constitution has been revised 27 times, some of these revisions being enormous and important, such as the abolition of slavery. Then there are areas that have evolved. For example, the power of the judiciary, especially the Supreme Court, is barely mentioned in the document. This grew as a fact over history. But there are surely some issues that still need to be debated and fixed. The Electoral College, for example, is highly undemocratic, allowing for the possibility that someone could get elected as president even if he or she had a smaller share of the total national vote than his opponent. The structure of the Senate is even more undemocratic, with Wisconsin's 6 million inhabitants getting the same representation in the Senate as California's 36 million people. That's not exactly one man, one vote. And we are surely the only modern nation that could be paralyzed, as we were in 2000, over an election dispute because we lack a simple national electoral system. So we could use the ideas of social media that were actually invented in this country to suggest a set of amendments to modernize the Constitution for the 21st century. Such a plan is not unheard of in American history. After all, the delegates in Philadelphia in 1787 initially met not to create the Constitution as we now know it, but instead to revise the existing document, the Articles of Confederation. But the delegates saw a disconnect between the document that currently governed them and the needs of the nation, so their solution was to start anew. I'm just suggesting we talk about a few revisions.
No, you're not. The Constitution has already been shredded almost beyond recognition, and you want to finish the job. Let me address some of this. I'm not sure if the gentleman is originally from this country or not, but the founders and the framers of the Constitution did not create a democracy. All you have to do is read Madison's notes, of which I've had a copy for decades, and all of you know who go on my website, you can purchase it on Amazon or in maybe not most bookstores, and you for yourself can see what the framers were debating. They set up a Senate where they wanted the states to have representation. The progressive populist movement of 100 years ago eliminated that with the 17th Amendment, so the states have actually no representation in the federal government anymore. That was crucial to the ratifying states after the Constitution was adopted at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia by the delegates. It was crucial. So the states have no representation. Furthermore, the framers did not want direct elections of presidents. Their biggest concern was that a faction of the population would be able to take over the country through an emotional time or emotional events, and that the changes they would make to the nation would be reckless and yet permanent. And so they created a republic, a constitutional representative republic.